about it.
That's a grenade from Pompu! Eliminate everybody on the field!
Damage from something as well is going to be applied as a death block from, and it's going to be huge! Fighting three!
The double kill with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
For B-Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam with the four-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
Hello Tranquility, welcome back to another fantastic week of some Overwatch. We've got another fantastic game ahead of us and a fantastic night, and to do that with me is Wistfall.
Hey, I think this is my first time casting Trank, so it's good to be here, good to watch some and get to cast some great Overwatch, I'm sure. These two teams today, or is it today? Yeah, I guess today, that are going to be on stream are Nightmare Outlaws and Oath. Facing off, both teams currently 0-2, hoping to grab their first win. Seeing that as I just showed up here, I don't really know that much about these two, either of these teams really.
Hey.
But
neither do I. So I mean,
yeah.
plus it's the kind of start of the season. I mean,
true.
we're gonna get to see how these two teams compete. And considering, yeah, they are both 0-2 as you pointed out, one of them's gonna come out on top tonight. So we're gonna see some names being made for themselves here, based on the players and whatnot. And it seems like our first map we're gonna be doing that on is Ilios.
Yeah, I mean, Ilios, it's a map which favors a decent bit of comp diversity. It's I mean, we definitely see a lot of the Wrecking Ball here, which has been quite prevalent in the meta recently. I think we are going to see a decent bit of variety in comps, as I mentioned earlier, just because of how Ilios plays. Like on Ruins, you can favor more of the Brawl stuff. On Lighthouse, I've seen Brawl, Dive, even Ball comps well. That's just a terrible pun. I'm sorry. But
Perfect.
well, again, you'll see a bit of everything. And especially at the Transcendence tier, which is Masters, Diamond players, you tend to see teams that have sort of gotten the fundamentals down in terms of mechanics and team play and can really refine their play styles and really develop an identity as a team, which can not only lead to them favoring certain comps, but also favoring certain play styles within those comps. So for all we know, we could just see a team run out on some completely unexpected comp just because of how good their players are and the degree to which they've mastered it.
Absolutely, and yeah, as you said, Ilios is quite the map to really throw that down. You've got quite the variety between each and every map. Plus, you're mentioning the different play styles you can do with that. Also, holy smokes, the variety in DPS specifically. You can really get some aggression there with like a Lucio backing you up. You can get some more of that Brawl, as you said, like Ball even, or Reinhardt. Things like that of the sort. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players really do go about that and how they even change up their picks even on the same map, even after a fight or something of the sort. Because, you know, like ultimate economy, that is super important, but I mean, like, that may not be all what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, the adaptations are also at this level a big part of the game, where you see players and teams with the game sense and the knowledge, the ability to recognize what the other team is trying to do, to recognize what advantages, what holes in their own game the other team is going to seek to exploit, and how best to counter that. Because, I mean, let's be realistic, everyone's got holes in their game. No team is perfect, not even the 2020 San Francisco Shock, as much as I'd like to argue otherwise. But yeah, at this level, I think the counterplay, the duality of playing your own game and trying to counter the other team's game is a big factor. And with these two teams, especially again, being that they're both 0-2, they're going to be especially hungry for that first win. It's going to be really interesting to see how that balance plays out during this game.
Yeah, and you're talking about a hole, one big hole for both of these teams is the one right in front of that 2 at the top of the screen right there, 0-2. I think
that's brutal.
I think both of these teams have had a lot of time to reflect, time to educate themselves on what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how they can really go about that. And heading into both of these teams really finally going to duke it out. They really are going to give it everything they've got. There's one thing you can start steamrolling after that. You can make momentum. And yeah, it all can just kind of start from one win. And it seems like the kind of map specifically we're heading onto is, I believe, Ruins.
Yeah, it is Ruins. I believe I saw Oath rolling out on a bit of or was it? It was Outlaws rolling out initially on a Winston composition there. Who knows if they're actually going to stick to it or not? We'll find out soon enough, as we're almost 5 minutes going in.
Same thing.
Outlaws with the Lucio Kiriko backline for high sustain and just constantly taking these fights, whereas Oath rolling out on a bit more of a dive, although with a similar sustain heavy backline. The Genji Tracer DPS are going to look to sort of exploit gaps in an Outlaws game, get quick picks, get high damage, and win fights off of that with a Doom as well, punching in to create chaos.
I've not heard somebody call it Shadow Dive. I love that, and I think we are going to see exactly that kind of reminiscences happening. It looks like people are going to be finding on this kind of left side. No one really diving into each other just yet, but with both these teams playing a super kind of fast play style with that Lucio, both of them having kind of that brawly kind of tank, you're really going to try and play as safe as possible here, try and bait out any abilities as possible. It looks like the Bossman does start with the punch, but is not punished for it. It looks like a hack on the backline, but it doesn't even matter because Bossman eventually does find Cassidy, and that's a huge pick. That's a lot of balance of damage. Sombra can't necessarily have that kind of same amount of mid-fight value, that presence. It looks like the fight is going to still be coming out here. It looks like the aggression is going to be pushed even deeper by Oath, and it looks like it's leading their way.
Yeah, I mean, really great from Bossman there to see the initial pick. and to capitalize on it. That's the one disadvantage I would argue that Cassidy has in this composition, where he doesn't really have that get out of jail free key that a Reaper or a Tracer would with the Wraith form or the Recall. He's kind of just there. Like, he has Magnetic Grenade for that burst damage, but it doesn't really do that much if you have a Genji, if you have a Tracer, if you have a Doomfist on you. And we're seeing those Tracer and Doomfist already getting big value, with both of them coming close to ultimates of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. The ultimates are going crazy for Oath right now, but Outlaws are coming up on 2 support ultimates, and they've got a pick on the boss man. That's huge. Looks like the progress is going to be starting made on the point. Not if anything if Dylan has to say about it. Throws in a pulse bomb, try and stop this kind of momentum, but looks like Pika Master is going to emphasize it with a jump right onto the backline, and as well as a Kitsune, beautiful Kitsune from Video Gamer, claiming them this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the advantage of the Shadow Dive from Outlaws, where when you get ults, you can just pop them and you can just overwhelm the other team, as we saw with that rush. In addition, the early pick onto, I believe it was Bossman, was pretty influential, but now Oath is going to have a Coalescence and a Sound Barrier to engage with, as well as a Dragon Blade, which could make all the difference in this fight.
Yeah, let's see what 4 ultimates does to the Outlaws right here. A fantastic beat from Mushimi, does deny a lot of the value, but it looks like the damage and the focus, the target priority was just there for Oath. But it looks like actually Sombra was able to get a nice little EMP after that kind of rebound and was able to get some fantastic picks. I was a little focused on Oath's target priority right there, but it looks like Outlaws just scurried like piranhas and ate it all up.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent beat from Asimi, like you said. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it worked out very well in their favor, and the EMP from Toe perfectly timed to exploit the chaos that is created in the mid-fight and to open it up for the rest of his team. So to a point where Nightmare Outlaws, now they have 2 very influential ults potentially, especially without a shield on the other side to block it. Ghoul is going to need to perfectly time this Sound Barrier to nullify that high note.
Okay, use it right away, try and get some advantage, maybe try and shake him off their toes, maybe trip him up. It looks like Dylan is going to do exactly that, running a nice little headshot. I know, follows it up with a nice little pulse bomb onto Video Gamer. Your Kitsune's, your Kiriko's out of the fight, and it looks like this point progress did get quite some ways, but it looks like Oath is going to be trying to pick this up around 80%. That was a fantastic play from Dylan right there. I believe finding 3 that fight.
Yeah, that's massive from Dylan, getting the early pick and then getting the pulse bomb stick, getting the pulse bomb kill off. Really just makes it so even with the ultimates that they had, with Ghoul using that Sound Barrier so early in the fight, Oath couldn't really do anything. They had nothing to retake momentum or even to try and recontest the point or stall. So now ultimate's vastly in favor of Outlaws, so Oath pretty much has to rely on getting massive value out of this Coalescence, just ending the fight before it can even really start. But there it is, it comes out now.
Yeah, the best way to try and start it is just right away, but it looks like Pika Master actually does find Dylan. That's a huge kind of win condition, but it looks like Hurricane's going to even that up with a nice pick on the Cassie. A fantastic Kitsune right at the choke point though, lands Pika Master, a nice little pick on the Ghoul. A lot of speed, a lot of utility out for the side of Oath. It looks like Oath is going to keep trying to keep this fight going, really aggressively held at that choke point there, but it looks like some fantastic subtleties arise from Toa, being able to find 2 that fight. That was to close that off here at, again, about 80%. It looks like a bit of a stall.
Dylan's just pulling up the stall. Hey, why not?
Hey, I mean, Ghoul almost got there too. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it seemed like in their desire to take that fast fight, like I pointed out earlier, they Oath got a bit too split up. They got a bit too disconnected. And Noir, you saw, spent almost a solid bit of that Coalescence just trying to focus down. I think it was a Kiriko. I don't remember who it was, but they were not dying. And now we're seeing that faster pace come out from Oath once more, but I mean, that it just goes for nothing, as they've already lost Noir so early in the fight, and at that point the fight's just over. So Nightmare Outlaws are going to take this first point after showing excellent synergy, excellent consistency, and really I think what won them that map was they just maintained that hive mind, that singular focus that you need to have in this brawl composition, because the whole point of the composition is just apes together strong. Basically, you run down the other team, you use the Sombra hack, use the Winston dive to open up opportunities for the rest of your team to capitalize, and they did so in excellent fashion. Even when they were losing picks early, losing players early on, they still managed to rally and hold strong. Now Oath, it's going to be interesting to see in this same matchup, the same compositional matchup. It's going to be interesting to see if they can exploit, if they can get their dives down to a point where they can consistently get picks against Nightmare Outlaws before they can establish momentum, or whether this train is just going to continue in their favor.
Yeah, it looks like high grounds are going to be brought into the question here as well. Looks Bossman really nogging it into the head of Pika Master right there with a nice little punch. But it looks like Pika Master and the rest of the squad is going to gain that kind of high ground kind of balance. As you've said, that shadow kind of dive, a really good factor for keeping themselves stable. And it looks like it is going to be an even fight though. Toa being knocked out of the fight is quite the equalizer. But it looks like Oath is actually going to be able to cap that point in that time with their speedy kind of comp. Looks like now they're just going to be kind of stalling this out until Bossman can come back. Ghoul falls dangerously low, but so does Pika Master. Everyone's really just waiting on this point. Looks like Bossman does come back in the nick of time. Looks like Dylan's going to be able to knock out Pika Master right there. And now the aggression, the momentum is being made from the side of Oath right into the enemy choke point right there.
Yeah, I mean, the aggression from Oath, the fast pace of play just to get onto the point early and force Nightmare Outlaws into a defensive position was really, really well done. Even with Hurricane going down though, well actually, that kind of does open up an opportunity, especially if Bossman goes down, which he does. Usimi bloodthirsty on the Lucio as ever, but Dylan getting a pick to potentially throw the momentum back into the balance. Oath coming close to a few crucial ults, but they lose Noir. That's the bulk of the healing gone, and it looks like Nightmare Outlaws firmly entrenched on this point. Doesn't look like they're going to let go for anything, especially with Ghoul falling. It's just Hurricane on the point. He goes. Bossman seems to follow. It seems, even though he gets a pick onto XX 20 characters XX. Bit of a throwback in the formatting of the name, but hey. Nightmare Outlaws at last, they cap the point. Hey,
the throwback to when they got the point, right? 56%. That's a pretty good stall coming out from Oath. You did build up some crucial ultimates here. You know, you've got that beat, you've got the blade, but Outlaws has quite the array of forces to match that. And when they do have that kind of dare I say advantage when they're on this kind of defense, yeah, already getting set up on that high ground. But it looks like Oath does spot that out right away. They got the point first of all when they just went onto it. Looks like they're going to try and do it again, but looks like it's met with the Kutsina Rush on that point, and now the ultimate is going to come out. A fantastic EMP to try and clip some people off, but it looks like no real picks happening just yet. It looks like a beat from both sides is going to be arming some of these frontline soldiers here on this point here. Looks like Hurricane now deciding to pop the blade. No picks happening yet because their positioning is just so fast. Such a flurry from both of these teams. It looks like now finally after the support ults kind of ran out from Outlaws, it looked like the kind of aggression was able to really hit the pedal for Oath, finding some crucial picks. We're gonna wrap this up into a fight win, but holy smokes, seeing these two kind of dive teams go at each other like that was a sight to see.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, at that point in the fight, it really just became a matter of who could get more value out of their ultimates, and Oath, having used their EMP so early, having not really gotten anything with their high noon. Wait, that was Outlaws, never mind.
Oh yeah.
Outlaws, having used those ultimates I'd mentioned earlier, having used the rush right as the fight started to get back onto the point, weren't really in a position to use anything late in the fight because they didn't have anything to use. Now we're seeing the point percentage climb up to 80 in favor of Oath. They could potentially get this back to a 1-1 scoreline, take us to a final sub map.
Yeah.
And Outlaws, they're drained on ults. They've got nothing at the moment.
Yeah, this is going to be some raw grit. Yeah, it looks like Cassidy's going to knock out Bossman. Bossman falling early in these fights is very crucial in a lot of different ways, but Oath have been very sturdy and staying the ground afterwards. But it looks like the rest of the picks from Toa is going to knock out both the supports of Oath right there. Looks like they are going to finally cap this point. But Oath honestly still have a chance.
Yeah, Oath definitely does have a chance. They have time. They have 3 crucial ults up already. The Meteor Strike to potentially get a pick in the mid-fight. The Coalescence and the Sound Barrier to negate an ult from the other side, which they have ults of their own. The EMP, the Sound Barrier, the High Noon, all of which could be equally as influential. Now we're seeing Oath take the high ground in the hopes of forcing Outlaws to retreat, to take a more conservative position, to put them on the back foot. Simeon, not a great position. He did.
Yeah.
Bossman.
That was based. It comes back right in time to get an unfortunate EMP, but looks like a beat is going to be trying sustaining the rest of Oath, but Dylan is knocked out. That's a big crucial factor. Outlaws does get that late beat in the fight, even more turning the advantage for their side. Looks like a bit of a different sort of fight for the Wave Oath. It may cost them this round here.
Yeah, that was
unfortunate.
I mean, Outlaws kind of just played faster. Outlaws they took the momentum in that. They took an aggressive position in that fight, and you could see like Oath were so split up. Wait, my brain is my brain is not working today. Outlaws were the ones holding. Outlaws had their wits on low ground, and you could see Oath on the high ground. They were kind of confused about what to do. They kind of just ran onto the point, and Outlaws taking those split angles, not really giving them anything to engage on, kind of just took over, and were able to take momentum, get the picks they needed, and ultimately clutched out the fight, especially with a couple key ults from Toa in particular.
Toa was insane. I think called him out in the first round a little bit like subtle, like the way that, because again, like shadow comp or shadow dive, really like that's a really good way to put it, because you don't expect the Sombra. Usually everyone's like all there, everyone's just right in front of your face, but Sombra comes back in like kind of at the past, kind of in the future. And in that situation, when they were all kind of like split up and they all just kind of went to point, I think they all knew that Toa had EMP there, and I was trying to use that with the beat, especially on Ilios. That's a really complicated way to go about it, because like you don't know what's exactly part of the map where you're gonna hide on. You don't know how to use it aggressively necessarily, and when your Doomfist is taking some time to come back into the fight, it seems like Oath is really in sync with their Doom, and where they kind of will lead the charge kind of leads from that. So with that kind of like taking some time, I think that's where kind of the puzzle pieces started going the way more so to Outlaws right there.
Yeah, I agree. I think with this composition the Outlaws are running with the Sombra, you can play it two ways. You can play for well-timed hacks just onto key characters onto key heroes for the other team, the Moira, the Lucio, the Doom, for example, preventing their engage, halting their momentum, opening up, as I've mentioned a fair few times already, opportunities for the rest of your team. But the way Toe seemed to be playing was kind of just a Sombra 76, as I've heard it referred to, where you sort of play with your team, you sort of play in the front line, just playing to farm EMP, getting hacks, or playing for hacks as the fight goes on. And I mean, we saw that that style played to full effectiveness, with Toa getting a few crucial 2Ks, really. There was one fight on, I believe it was Ruins, where Toa got 2 kills in a seemingly losing fight when they were at a man advantage, and it was massive for them, really.
Yeah. How would you kind of so for for 2 dives, which is still a very big thing. My favorite thing is like when a Doomfist comp and a Joker Queen comp just go at it, because like all the characters are super speedy and super all that stuff. What kind of when it comes down to the ultimate kind of game, what are you kind of playing for if you've got something like High Noon? Would you try and combo that with any of your other characters, or especially with like your tank moving in? Because however to like really pincer the backline, I don't know exactly who 2 dives would focus if everyone's moving so fast.
Well, I mean, in Overwatch 2, without the off tank to slow the game down, without the off tank to soak up damage, sort of peel, you're betting that your backline's gonna die and that you can basically dive the other team and kill theirs faster and finish off the rest of their team. Because you realistically, like, your Winston can only jump so many times. You can't like be all over the map. You're not, even on Wrecking Ball, the same holds true, because of how invested you have to be in the dive as Wrecking Ball. So with a High Noon, you want to play. With a High Noon, for example, you want to wait for your team. You want your team to be in a position where you have the momentum, where you have angles, where you have space and time to play, to play for an opportunity to take out the other team. To take out the other team's backline, for example, when their teams all super split up, like we saw at times during that match or during that map. You can really get big value out of that Noon once everyone's like all sort of not paying attention to you, where they're all focused on either keeping their teammates alive or playing for picks. You can get big value out of that.
So probably like after ultimates are out, after everyone's already decided on where to go next. Something like, okay.
Kinda, yeah.
Cool.
Kinda, like in the middle of the chaos.
Nice.
Sort of.
It's gonna be interesting to see how these teams kind of start changing now when we go to King's Row, because holy smokes, that's a very different map from Ilios. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very singular in the comp positions you see. You almost always see a brawl comp, whether it's the Orisa, the Rom, I'm forgetting the big German guy, Ryan. Ryan. There we go. That's a criminal offense. I don't know how I've forgotten that.
All good.
But yeah, the Reinhardt mirror is what this map is known for. The Rein, Cass May, Bap Lucio. But Who knows? We could see something different from both of these teams. We could see Oath sticking onto this Doom composition. We could see Nightmare Outlaws continuing to run the Winston as it seemed to work for them. Though I think they have a higher chance of running out on the Reinhardt, as they seem to be very comfortable with this brawl playstyle, with this sort of brawl dive hybrid. Is that a Sigma I see?
Always
Is
that
that-
little tease. Honestly,
Maybe in the hero select screen, perhaps.
honestly, it could make a lot of sense, right? Because we're talking a little bit about. I want to focus a little bit on their DPS line. So it could be a very like a mix up of like, you know, something brawly, but also something like aggressive. Like you could still play a Tracer on King's Row, even a Genji at that. But a lot of times, like there can even be. I always base it off of Sojourn because she's I feel like she's half and half of it with that little slide. It looks like we're gonna see exactly what it is. Oh my goodness.
Oh yes. Oh, what is that from Outlaws? That's ugly. Oh god, get that out of my face. Okay, this is better. Yeah, Oath was just running, you know, your standard May Reaper brawl. I think we've all seen this comp time and time again. It's
Classic.
a staple comp throughout Overwatch's history, throughout Overwatch 2 even. Although less so in Overwatch 2. The only team I've seen consistently running it is London Spitfire, of course, with Hadi, Admiral, and them.
Chatty.
Yes, we love Hadi. But Outlaws on attack, okay, my Ryan prediction was correct, but they're running a Bastion, which is a bit of an interesting strategy. It plays kind of like Symmetra used to in Overwatch 1, where you're playing sort of for the ebb and flow.
Oh, dear.
There's no flow there, though. It's just ebbs for Pika Master as he goes down instantly.
Oops, all ebbs. I love that. Hey, 20 card did actually trade that out. It was with Ghoul though, so maybe a little difference in HP value right there. Oath is definitely gonna recognize that, kill this choke point here. Outlaws are really just kind of forced, so you know, wait for Pika Master again here.
But yeah, I mean, you can't really do anything without your Reinhardt. Pika Master comes back though, charging right back into the fray. Yeah, this Reinhardt's not in a great position, but the brawl again, this aggression from Oath is actually on point. As Bossman comes out with 3 picks, already 75% to a Shattered Toa though, very close to a Blizzard, making this next fight a pretty interesting one, as these are not typically the ults you would see coming up first from either team. As you usually see the Amplification Matrix, sometimes a DPS ult, but both teams are gonna have a Blizzard up. Noir has the Amplification Matrix, and for Oath, I mean, Oath, you're in a great position. You have the ult advantage. You're using ults early. This is very early in the fight. Nothing's even really happened, so Outlaws can kind of just wait this out.
Yeah, I think they're actually buying time for their ultimate charges here. Dylan doesn't necessarily have it just yet. The Lance 1 Dink, you know, does get it. But it looks like Toa actually going to press that advantage just by 10%. Finds a fantastic freeze onto Bossman, and he's out of the fight. Looks like they're just going to follow this up with some nice little classic aggression right there. Really got the momentum going. That's a fantastic Blizzard. We're only ruling that fight with basically one ultimate. I did see that window, but it looked like Outlaws knew exactly how to press forward. Ooh.
Yeah, that was great. That's the cool thing with Brawl, when you can kind of just walk forward when you have the advantage in ults, because, or when you have a big ult like that, because you have the advantage, you have more DPS, you have more CC. You can kind of just overwhelm the other team, because they don't really have that much damage, especially with this. Well, okay, with the Bastion, I guess they do, or with the May Reaper they do, but in that position where you can create those opportunities for your team to brawl onto, they can turn the tide of a fight by themselves. Case in point, there's 2 ults big value coming out already, but it doesn't really. Okay, I was gonna say the fight could go either direction, but then Hurricane does that. I guess we know where it's going now. Toe, just the last member, gets 2 picks though, so it's just, I believe, Noir and Bossman on the cart, opening up the opportunity for a fast re-engage from Outlaws.
Yeah, that spawn advantage is going to be crucial right here. Just going to come back quickly, just clear everybody out. That was kind of crucial for Oath right there, using both their DPS ults. But Bossman still has Shatter, uses it to utterly decimate Usimi right there. But it looks like this Bastion pick is doing absolute wonders for the Outlaw, and it looks like Oath is actually going to try and take some of that glimmer.
Yeah, that slight DPS advantage, as I'd mentioned during my 3-minute waffle or whatever that was, was quite. It's quite big. I mean, the Bastion, he does a lot of damage. He just eats shields, and yeah, what can you do? I guess you mirror Bastion now with Hurricane swapping. Asimi is going to have the beat to possibly alleviate the ultimates from Nightmare or from Oath. There it is, it comes out, but Bossman with the first pick on the Video Gamer. I can't say that name. I don't know how to say that name, but he goes, but the Bastion goes, Bastion picks out the Reinhardt. Pika Master with another pick as well. And yeah, this fight's just all Outlaws.
I did like X20 characters. I'm gonna come 20 car, and then I'll ask him at the halftime just to make sure. But,
fair enough.
But I did like 20 characters. Looks like Toa actually got 2 nice little final picks right there. Nora's gonna have some time to think and spawn. You know, some much needed rest as the payload approaches about 4 minutes, and 20 car is coming up on a Bastion, which is leagues ahead anybody else at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Outlaws just like they're just playing with more almost swagger. They're playing more
swagger,
not arrogantly, but they're more confident.
Oh, yeah.
And it's showing. Like Oath being perpetually on the back foot. That's an exception though. I believe that was a blizzard. Okay, it wasn't a blizzard. I'm hearing things. The Mei wall comes out, but it's not really able to get anything. As Asimi very low, but again, just they can't finish him off. And there it is. There's the Bastional. Or not the Bastional, the railgun. It's big value, and Oath really can't compete at this point in time.
That was a very high value railgun right there. This damage is actually coming in so clean from these teams. Outlaws coming in on a couple ultimates here. This is going to be quite the intense kind of last hold. Looks like Bossman's going to make some nice little Grand Wall charge to it. It gets a nice little shatter, but gets a little bit stuffed right there by Pika Master. But it looks like the rest of the stall is going to be coming to a grim end from the side of the Oath right here. A nice little blizzard on the point. Trying to just clear anybody off, buying some more time. 2 minutes 45. I mean, you did get it over overtime, but I mean, we're looking from O's point of view. You basically kind of got down exactly how Outlaws are really going to be going about this. This is a very winnable situation in my eyes.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like as I was mentioning before the game, it's about the adaptation at this point. It's how do you deal with this Bastion, with this aggression from Toa and Pika Master? Because right now they're just able to run at your team and get kills and get out seemingly untouched. Because after you lose those players, you don't really have the advantage. You don't really have the numbers, the heals, the sustain, the raw presence that a Reinhardt provides, for example, to push that advantage. So if I'm Oath, I'm thinking something has to change. You have to do something about this Bastion. Part of it is you can't give the Bastion as much space. You have to play more aggressive into them. The Reaper from Hurricane, I like that adaptation, as it's going to make it harder for them to just... It's going to make it harder for Outlaws to get the space they need, as with the constant damage of the Reaper, rather than the somewhat like the intervals where Bastion has the railgun up. Or minigun, I think it's officially called minigun. There we go. Within those intervals, your Reaper can just push because he's a big guy. He does big damage. He can that plus your Reinhardt. You can use that aggression to force out cooldowns, and not if you can deny this Bastion the time he wants, the space he wants and needs, you can get big value. You can take these fights. Not if. Okay, Ghoul just gets melted.
Or you can just throw a nice little fire strike.
That's really nice from Ghoul, actually.
That solves a lot of the problems that Outlaws may have had coming their way. Because I mean, Dylan and Hurricane, yeah, they totally expect this Bastion setup. I think they're going to be playing around it a little bit differently. It looks like I was just kind of waiting for Ghoul to come back. Looks like they're waiting for that speed boost. You know, it looks like they're going to try a fancy little rotation on King's Row over here. Really just kind of waiting their well, or probably waiting for a Toa to get a wall out early. It looks like Oath is going to start the wall off before. Looks like you might find them a little charge advantage, but it looks like Pika Master falling dangerously low from the side of Outlaws right there. Some ultimate charge being gained. Looks like the ice block is going to be forced out from Dylan, but it looks like, yeah, still both teams very, very balanced in the setup. It is a stare down of the century. That wall was very crucial, but it looks like the support is even more crucial.
Wall.
Yeah, it looks like that is going to land Bossman down.
Master's going to shatter. Yeah, I mean, in that fight, you kind of just... That's not even bad luck. That's just, like... Pika Master's shield nearly went down at one point, and they could have... I feel like that was as good an opportunity as any for Oath to push. They had no shield. They had no... I think the minigun from the Bastion was on cooldown, so they had the ample opportunity to push, but for whatever reason they didn't, and now all Oath has is their support ults, whereas Outlaws, they have everything almost, except for the sound barrier, but... I mean, with how Asumi's been playing, a silent carry of sorts for Outlaws, I I don't see them really losing this fight.
Ooh,
Not unless Bossman does that. Never mind.
that was so base, dude. Knocked out Lucio, knocked out May. Those are your 2 win conditions on any game of King's Row any day. Bossman picks it up with a third onto Bastion. Goes for the nice little slam, but it looks like Noir is gonna pick up a nice little Baptiste stiff for a beautiful little 2K heading into 2 minutes for finally capping this point. And hey, you only used a window and a blizzard from the side of Oath. You've still got Shadow, you've still got Beat, and you've still got a Blossom. This is looking very dainty for the side of Oath.
Those are yeah, it's a pretty good situation. I mean, that's great from Bossman to just get those 2 completely unexpected picks. Like, no one can see that coming. You can't track that. You can't track their Ryan killing 2 of you with a window fire strike, really. So now for Outlaws, it's just a matter of retaking this momentum. But for Oath, you want to get full value out of these ults. You want to split off that Reinhardt early. Kind of like that. I mean, the wall from Toa comes out to nullify any advantage. The Bastion ult as well.
Ooh.
It takes out Ghoul, so that's the beat off the field. Oh, the shatter from Bossman gets nothing. No way.
That was that was dramatic from King's Row right there. Just everything falling not into the exact place, except one piece of this puzzle that is falling into quite the place is Hurricane with this nice little Blossom. I think they're actually going to set up for some sort of pincer maneuver, which would be ginormous considering that Outlaws have both of their support ultimates. Looks like they are kind of lining up for something of the sort. Hurricane sneaking up behind the Bastion into the middle of the team with the wall to assist him. Looks like Video Gamer tried to get out a window, but both the supports are down for the side of Oath, and it looks like it may be going a bit their way here.
Yeah, I mean, that's great from Hurricane. There's another of those just individual plays getting big value. I think we're seeing now these individual these starlets of sorts on Oath come into their own, much like Toa and 20 characters and Pika Master on the last map did. So if these players can keep up their form, if Blossman and Hurricane and Villain can keep getting these picks, and Noir can continue to see your team through in the moments where they seem to need it, this is pretty doable for Oath, I would imagine, especially with a wall like that.
And the Blizzards to top it off. Looks like both Blizzards. Oh, everyone's having a bit of a
Venn
chill
diagram.
moment. Everyone's chilling. Both May's picking up lots of picks, so it looks like it's going to come down to the May 1v1. It looks like Hurricane's going to assist that in a little bit, but it looks like, okay, not a lot of members left for either side, but it looks like it is going to favor the side with the Bastion on defense here. They are going to hold it. They are going to hold it, but that was phenomenal. And you're coming back with some crazy ults to get some sort of rebound here. You've got the time.
Yeah, the Bastion is, I mean, this Bastion is, again, getting the space that that a Bastion so dearly wants in these situations. And I feel Oath could try rotating around the right side, but the problem is they would do so right into the ultimate. Well, not necessarily into the ultimate, but in 20 characters themselves. And yeah, Ghoul's gone. Again, this Bastion is getting big value. They're just leaving now, yeah.
What's the word for getting getting rid of ghouls? Like some sort of spirit
Exorcism?
Yeah, exorcism. Yeah, that Bastion is just
that's like purging the demon from. Yeah.
Yeah, the Outlaws have one of those. The name is 20 card.
Yeah, 20 characters, and Bastion is canonically an exorcist. This is a watch.
Pika Master is canonically a Chad for that. Yeah, some fantastic picks to follow that up from the side of Outlaws. It looks like defense is indeed giving them quite the favor here with this Bastion May setup. But it looks like Oath not necessarily out of it yet. They come up. That was basically a dry fight, really only using a shatter in the window. It looks like the DPS ults are very much more so mainly the kind of theme of both of these teams. So it looks like coming up 80% of both of them for Oath is going to be pretty helpful considering Outlaws have 0 support ultimates.
Yeah, I think with Oath here, the key is aggression. You kind of just have to run down the other team, use your ults first, like they were doing at times, but it's not consistent enough, and I feel like that's the thing which is costing them so dearly in some of these fights, where they just have to play faster, they have to play more clinically. Ooh. And I mean, Outlaws just aren't going to give them the chance.
Talk about precision and clinicalism. That was fantastic right there from Outlaws. Really cut them off in that corner. Yeah. We saw what Oath was trying to do. They were trying to get that nice wide angle. You know, maybe get your ultimates in time. Maybe use Ghoul speed boosts to really get yourself a clear line of sight of the Bastion without losing anyone in the cover. But holy smokes, the Outlaws aren't done.
They're just not stopping for anyone. I mean,
oh man.
Yeah, Oath can't even touch. They're just completely blind. They're just getting completely blindsided by this aggression from Toa, from Pika Master. It's not even necessarily that they're playing faster. It's that they're playing, I guess, more greedy is how you could characterize it, is how you could refer to it. Where they're, like, case in point, they're just, every advantage they're getting, they're taking full advantage of it. Like, this play of the game, I think, is a good example of that.
Oh yeah.
Where you're just, it's like, it's give an inch, take a mile. It's kind of like that, where Pika Master, and I would assume Simi, the IGLs presumably for this team, they're just going in on anything they get. And Oath really can't handle that, especially with the Mei walls from Toa, which have proven to be so clinical, so perfectly timed and perfectly placed. It's Bossman's getting split off a lot, and really in such chaotic mid fights like this, you can't really do much about that.
Yeah, and holy smoke! So like you're talking about giving and sticking out and the greediness. I think that's a really core theme of it too, because like anytime Outlaws even had like one ultimate, they use it to the fullest extent. Like I think Oath was kind of like waiting for like, you know, series of ultimates, different ones they want to combine. Outlaws did not wait for that. Whatsoever. If Toa had a blizzard or something like that, they would instantly just give it everything they got there. And yeah, with the rest of the players playing that, as you've said, aggressively. Oh my God, King's Row was like a slip and slide.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about King's Row is it's almost like GOATs. I mean, opinions will differ on GOATs. I'll give you that. I love it personally. I wasn't really into competitive Overwatch. I was hard stuck bronze on all 3 roles. Not even all 3 roles. I was just bronze at the time that GOATs was really as prevalent as it was. So I never really got to play it at its peak.
GOATs looked cool.
It was great. It's really just like the essence of teamwork in Overwatch, where you have to be perfectly in sync in every regard. You have to be going as a team. You have to be peeling for each other. You have to be perfect. You have to be hyper aware of where your teammates were. And this brawl composition plays quite similarly. It's the same principle as kinda, where you want to take momentum either by isolating a player or by taking an objective and forcing the other team to play around you. And it just seems right now that with the aggression of Outlaws, with the Mei walls, with the excellent play from Toa and 20 characters, they're playing this composition really well. And so now the onus is on Oath to respond really at match point.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a fantastic halftime for both these teams to really reflect, you know, chill out not inside of a blizzard. They're really going to get some time to like think about how to really go about this, maybe even set up a bit of something like a reverse sweep, but we'll just have to find out after the halftime.
Indeed we will.
conversation. I already know what you're saying. I love a little conversations. And I don't want you to go changing.
Howdy, howdy, welcome back. This is quite the game we've got on our hands. It's 2-0 favoring the Outlaws after some tremendous displays of performance on King's Row this fall.
Yeah, I mean, it was, those first two maps were great. King's Row was just amazing to watch. I mean, it was fairly dominant, but nonetheless fun. I mean, that's the cool thing about Brawl. No matter who's winning, it's fun to watch, unless you support one team, in which case, your loss, I guess. Going on to Shambali Monastery, the potential match point, well, not even potential, Nightmare Outlaws are on match point, but going on to Shambali, a map which can again favor a decent bit of compositional variety, with potentially like poke compositions, Brawl. I think I've seen Ball a few times on this map, so yeah, who knows? We could see anything. We could see the start of a reverse sweep. We could see Outlaws just put this game to bed. But really, it all depends on Oath at this point. I think it depends on how they respond, how they can rally and find a way to get back into this game.
Yeah, and hey, maybe they go Brigidi here just for that cause. But we're saying Shambali can be pretty diverse as well. It's not as necessarily different on Ilios. I think Shambali has a lot more fluidity, so I do see where that kind of like ball pick could come in. But giving us just how various these players play, like even Oath refused to play the Bastion under any circumstance, even though that could have been, like a crucial sort of factor. So like we do see some spirits from these DPS.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The Bastion can be a great equalizer of sorts in that situation, but Oath seemed resistant to running it for whatever reason, wanting to pressure out the Bastion with Reaper, which I don't think is a bad idea necessarily. It's just that they couldn't really play with the same aggression that Outlaws did and that they really needed to. So, I mean, Shambali, again, the onus is on Oath. It's a matter of whether they can come out with that aggression, with that confidence in themselves that they need to. I think we're just waiting now for the teams to go into lobby.
Yeah. It's a cold map, Shambali. You gotta get all dressed up in your winter clothes.
You
gotta get the mining gear ready. I was exploring the map in one of my comp games. I found a lot of these bottles looking from like Monsters Inc. Like those laugh containers. So it looks to me like Shambali Monastery is actually some sort of copium mining facility, and we're just gonna have to see who's gonna get the better end of that stick here, because this could be a very winnable situation for. Specifically Oath here. Looks like they're gonna be we got a couple seconds here, but what's your favorite point of this map?
Second, I don't like, because it's just weird. I don't like it. Third, I either get speedrun on or I just dominate the other team and hold there. Probably first. The first is one of the better first points in the game, in my opinion. I mean, the big sightline is typical of all escort maps, but after that, it gets pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, it's freaking.
What are these comps? Are we gonna see the same thing from both teams? I think we are.
Something, yeah, reminiscent of a little bit of. It looks like Oath, taking that kind of that Ilios kind of theme. It looks like Outlaws going to be going with something more stable. It's more brawly. But you've got the Mercy and the Baptiste. Oh, I've been completely baited.
It's the same thing. No way. Yeah, Nightmare rolling out with this Brawl composition with the cast instead of the Bastion this time. Probably to account for the longer sightline, just to be able to get more consistent poke damage and even more anti-dive into the dive composition from Oath with the Doomfist Genji Tracer. Yeah, the Cassidy's consistent damage, the warding potential of the Magnetic Nade, keeping the other team's DPS back, getting them low, forcing them to get out, as we're seeing now.
Bossman was very dangerously low and still is. The pressure is on. These two tank battles, it's going to be very interesting to see how their comms go against it. It looks like Outlaws is going to be something more stable and really just destroyed any attempt at a backline maneuver, any of the sort from Oath right there. Completely denied, and it looks like they're going to get this cart rolling.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. The boot from Asumi was so pivotal to that fight, where it just knocks half the team away, or it just knocks the DPS away. It enables 20 characters to get that pick onto Dylan and then to get the consecutive one onto Hurricane as he's so displaced from the rest of his team. And I mean, that's been the story of the show for Asumi during this match. A silent, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, a more of a silent carry, a very understated player, not really showing up in the kill feed too often, but still getting value nonetheless, as we've seen there.
Holy smokes! Yeah, another fight going the way of Outlaws, and again a very sort of fast fashion. The crucial picks coming out of these times, and then everyone collapsing in on each other afterwards. It's beauty in motion. It's stacking cards on a table and then watching it fall. Going the way of Outlaws so far, but now ultimates are going to be brought into the question. A very crucial one at that. Dylan has a pulse bomb, but I mean, you still got that potential.
Yeah, the Blizzard from Toa, the ultimate, the high noon from 20 characters almost online, the shatter. I mean, Outlaws does everything. Outlaws has 5 ults. What do you even do into this? Like, you have to hope that the coalescence from Noir is perfectly timed, that your team perfectly pushes in off of it. The pulse bomb comes out, but it doesn't get anything.
Yeah.
So now Outlaws has significant advantages, which remains to be seen as to how they'll make use of it.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to make quite the use of it. Lots of damage amplification, lots of Blizzard zone denial, but not a lot of picks coming in. Bossman actually from Oath is going to find a nice pick on the Cassidy. And it looks like now Outlaws going to be forced to pressure out some support ultimates to really try and support this fight, maybe make it go their way, maybe get a rebound in there. But it looks like the backline pressure is just too much from the side of Oath. Bossman leading the charge in fantastic fashion. Even basically a 3-way dive right there with Genji Doomfist on that kind of choke point, and then Dylan in the back over there. That was some beautiful stuff. And he didn't even use a blade.
Yeah, that was really well played from Oath, being able to sort of kite out of the Blizzard, re-engage with the Meteor Strike. The Pulse Bomb gets nothing, but it doesn't really matter. Dylan's halfway to another one. Both teams used 3 ults in that fight, so now Outlaws with the High Noon and the Shatter, and Oath with the Dragon Blade and the Sound Barrier to negate any value from those ults on the side. Okay, well, they don't have the Dragon Blade anymore.
Where to go? It's in the top right of your screen right there, and that's like, yeah, Outlaws, the second they get a pick, they go all in. But it looks like Dylan actually took advantage of that. Some little foresight, got a nice little headshot pick on the Baptiste. No mortality field. You just got a lot of speed if you're Outlaws right now, and speed, I guess, is all you need if you're going to take down Bossman with a nice little high noon and a fantastic snipe from Pika Master right there. That was a fantastic rebound, but Dylan did make quite the name for himself with that pick right there.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice pick from Dylan. The problem is Outlaw is just super solid in this situation with the high noon. They have the staying power, and okay, well, Dylan's just staggered at this point, so Outlaw's in a great position to retake, to take second point. The blade from Hurricane comes out, though, forces out the mortality field, and it gets nothing. The collapse from Outlaws is so good. The sound barrier from Gold too late to save anyone. Gold's alone on the point, waiting for the sweet release of death. Noir not in a much better of a state, as she's all alone and just gets melted accordingly.
Melted accordingly. Word of the day. But hey, they're not out of the fight just yet. Oath is a fantastic team at really going around places. They're speedy and they know exactly where to go. This stall is still giving Outlaws quite the run for their money. A Lucio and a Tracer are going to be quite difficult. It does get it down to about 2 minutes, so now you're kind of looking at some grim kind of situations. It looks like over and over kind of the classic, like, what does dive really do against a brawl, and all the different ways they're trying to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think it's more of just a compositional difference, because Outlaws, they just have the staying power to make the Genji and the Tracer make their lives so much harder. And I mean, even with the CC from the Doomfist, even with the displacement that the punches and slams can provide, it's not really enough, because Outlaws, again, they're going into this fight with 4 ultimates and all the time and space in the world to use them. Maybe not for Asumi, but for the rest of the team.
Yeah,
This is a pretty good situation, especially with that flank.
Yeah, Tony Card pops off of these high noons here. Finds one onto Ghoul. Toa's going to pick up a pick on the boss man, and after those first kind of 2 picks, the momentum that Outlaws makes from themselves, they're not really much of a momentum-based team on their own, but the second they get something, the second they have some opportunity, that's when they press the gas pedal. So Oath maybe looking at quite the dangerous kind of stall here. A nice little jump and a dash from Hurricane does land some 4 members of the squad onto the point, and some ultimates at that. This is a nice little pulse bomb stick on a PK Master, but the support is there. But the picks are coming in from Oath. A fantastic coalescence. It looks like some Doom assist as well. Dylan popping off, and when when it matters most, Oath is definitely making name for themselves. But it looks like a fantastic shadow from PK Master. But it looks like Dylan is indeed gonna try finishing this off. That was a fantastic last touch from Oath, and they really made the use of that.
Yeah, the impact of that coalescence from Noir cannot be understated. That gave them the sustain they needed, gave them the pressure they needed, put Pika Master under significant pressure, which it feels like he hasn't been under for most of this match. And, I mean, Oath were able to capitalize on that very well, with Dylan getting 2 nice picks. And now with this Blade coming out, Oath have a chance to really retake momentum here.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Looks like some picks gonna be. They try to hold it at that kind of aggressive choke point. The ultimates just weren't online just yet, or think of like the kind of opportunity to use them, because Toa, you know, May got that wall kind of ability. So I think just kind of a situation of like where exactly to hold that. But at the end, you see the ultimate resources were definitely in Oath's favor there. At the end of the day, they were getting that kind of down. They're getting the groovement, the schmovement downloaded. And so yeah, basically like a minute left. You did pretty well for an attack right there. Or defense.
Yeah, I mean, that was just bad luck from Hurricane getting casting the Dragon Blade right as Ghoul falls, and at that point the momentum's just so far in favor of Outlaws. As with that immortality field up, with the whole other team looking at you, you really aren't in a position to do much without that dash up. And seeing as Hurricane had used that dash already to try and get into Outlaws' backline, that's about the worst position you could be in, really. So now Outlaws completing the map with a fair bit of time, a minute and 23 seconds, and Oath, I mean, this is do or die for you. You have to complete this map, preferably with a decent bit of extra time on the clock, and you have to do something about. You have to respond to Pika Master and Toa somehow, because right now they're just clearing the field every fight. This composition from Oath is not what I was expecting at all. The Ramatra to better pressure out the Rhine with Nemesis form with the slow to prevent his kite. The Ana Zen to open up further opportunities with the Discord and the Anti-Nade, and the Genji to capitalize, and the Reaper to provide frontline pressure alongside that Ramatra. This is a really, really interesting adaptation from Oath. I don't think Outlaws saw this coming, to be truthful. But I mean, the devil's in the details. It all depends on how they execute now.
No, this comp definitely does have some Chemical X mixed into it. Ramatra knocked out of the fight right away, but it still has that kind of map territory difference. Maybe coming in the works after this first kind of fight. Kind of just Outlaws really eating up exactly what Oath was throwing down. They don't have the same shield as Pika Master, not the same kind of balance as Outlaws, but you know, Oath definitely do have the ability to indeed make some crucial picks at some crucial times here. Outlaws going to be holding that kind of high ground. Now Oath going to be changing their direction of how to really go about this. You've got less cover, but you've got more kind of spaces to make the positions you kind of want to make. Looks like, yeah, 20 card going to lose half health right there. And now you've got Dylan on you. Looks like the pressure is going to be going to be continued from Hurricane. Oh man. Now it's an even fight. Dylan's out of it, but you did kind of trade that. Not necessarily with Toe, who's building a Blizzard, but you've still kind of got that kind of frontline kind of pressure. But it looks like, yeah, the rest of the kind of split is going to kind of not work in the favor of Oath right here.
Yeah, I mean, that fight started out fairly well from Oath until Dylan fell with the being able to get Outlaws onto an even footing of sorts, being able to get them onto the low ground and take that fight. But the problem is, at that point, Hurricane goes a bit too far in, and you just don't have the sustain. You don't have the raw healing, the cooldowns to give your team slight bits of time to recover, to replenish cooldowns. And as a result, Outlaws with the Lucio backline can just run you down, and if you don't get any breathing room, you can't really do anything into that. Case in point, look at how split Oath is already. The Transcendence comes out, though. This fight is heavy ultimate investment from both teams. There is from Ghoul. There's the damage. Toad does take him out. Noir in the back line, though, not in a great spot. Toad's taking out 2 players. This guy's unstoppable.
The DPS from Outlaws have been tyrannical, eating up both the supports during that fight, as you mentioned. But it looks like Oath did kind of get themselves together, did use quite some fantastic ults very crucially, using just Transcendence and Ramacha, the 2 Omnic duo buddies. They totally had it, and now Oath have like a Nano Blade, they've got Dylan's Blossom. I mean, Usimi still doesn't have that beat, but you've got a minute to try and make it just a couple meters. Looks like the Blossom's gonna come out. Oh, but he's gonna get shut down right there. Now the rest of the kind of follow-up is gonna be had. It looks like they're trying to press this kind of poor boss man on their Ramacha here, but after the corner, after he's down, the shatter comes out. Usimi eats up 2 picks for the Lucio onto both supports as well. A little bit of a, some may say, support differential, but this is still not over just yet. They've just got a Nano Blade. Usimi is really holding onto that beat for dear life here. A little shuddering right now.
This fight hinges on Usimi's beat and whether they can get value, whether he can get value out of it, whether he can nullify this Nano Blade. Because I mean, Nano Blade's one of the most powerful ult combos in the game. It's been one of the more powerful ult combos in the game, just because of how much damage Genji does, how hard he is to hit. So Toa, if he can get this Blizzard up as well, could make all the difference. But it depends again. So much of it depends on Hurricane.
Yeah. It does get the beat off, so it is going to get denied, but a lot of space actually granted to the side of Oath.
There's the Blizzard from Toa!
Yeah, to try to get some breathing room, to try and really get themselves out of it, in which they did avoid a lot of the players getting harmed from it. You've still got 4 up. Now it's more of a 3v4 here, but it's still kind of basic, a little bit of an even fight. You've got Bossman on your front line and coming up very close to that ultimate. If you can just live just a wee bit longer, but no, Usimi with a smack to the face knocks him down. It looks like that's going to be a round finisher for Outlaws right there, but very valiantly fought from Oath, and I did really like that composition.
Yeah, the issue is they played it well enough, I suppose. I mean, I feel like Noir's nade usage wasn't particularly aggressive enough, but again, when you have a brawl running down your team, you can't really do much except for a situation such as this where you can come in with the Transcendence, keep your team up, give them a lot of sustain even for that brief instant, and now you can just, at that point in the fight, you can just roll out with the orbs, start throwing them around like Spider-Man, and you get big kills as Ghoul did in that fight. The issue is the onus fell on, in that last fight, it was all Hurricane. Hurricane had to get big value out of that blade, and he couldn't, and I feel like that's just characterized a lot of the gap between these two teams, which has lied in their DPS, in the value that their DPS lines can get. Where you've seen Toa playing out of his mind, really, just absolutely dominant performance on the Mei, on the Sombra on the first map as well. In addition, I mean, 20 characters was just dominant on the Bastion as well, or on King's Row, and was getting crucial picks on Cassidy and on Shambali Monastery, and it felt like the DPS of Oath aren't really able to hang with them in that regard, where they're just that pick potential, those spontaneous big high value plays aren't really there when they need to be, and that's kind of I feel like that's made all the difference in this match.
Shambali is definitely it's still, to me, it still feels pretty new. I never get to the 3rd point, so to see it go that far was pretty crazy. I think I kind of saw what they were trying to do with the support line, though, having a Discord orb specifically, trying to get some more damage on certain targets, because, you know, as we've seen, Oath is a team that really is sticking to that. They really like playing the aggressive style, the dive style, where everybody, it's a little bit different from Outlaws, as in, like, everyone pounces. They're more of a pouncing kind of team, it seems like. Once they're in there, they can really like kind of make that last longer. Like you get a gnarly bite from a dog and they just won't let go of your you know. So that's kind of what they play for. Dog in them, yeah. But Outlaws, the kind of aggressiveness that they seem to go for most of the time is like they'll just keep barking at you like a pit bull. They'll really just be in your face, be all about that, and then it's kind of hard to try and dodge that pounce. It's hard to kind of go about taking down a pitbull if they've already got a bite on your tail. So I kind of do like what Oath supports are trying to do, where they're trying to like add that kind of fluidity, add some more density to the impact that they already have, really trying to accentuate what their defense are going to do. And hey, what better map to do that on than Colosseo?
Yeah, I mean, this is the it's the final map. I mean, Outlaws have already won, so they can take their foot off the gas, or they can just put the hammer down, as Pika Master has been doing.
Nice.
So yeah, this map, I mean, it's good for map differential. I suppose it's good for morale, but other than that,
are you a new Queen Street fan?
I hate both of them. Esperance is the only push map I tolerate.
Oh my gosh. Esperance is pretty nice.
Esperance is great, yeah. Or Esperanza.
What's so wrong with
Colosseo? Or however you say it. The high grounds. I don't like the high grounds. My slow drink slides never get onto the high ground.
Oh, you're bad. Oh, so you're bad, and that's
yeah. I don't like that first long corridor just because it's like it feels so.
It's got some dread
weird
to it. It's got some dread to it, yeah.
It's like when you're entering a boss room in a game for the first time, and you just like you stare. It's like a long hall, for example, and you're just staring down, and you see some
freaking like
monstrous
German man
thing at the end. Yeah.
honestly, you know what? I'll personally, I'll fix your Colosseo problem. They just gotta play some music in the hallway. Whenever you get close to those Coliseum walls,
just make it a rave. Yeah.
Yeah, you see some Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Hey, Mortal Kombat is exactly what we're gonna have here. It looks like if these teams are exactly what they are gonna go, this is gonna go down like a boxing ring essentially. Now Oath's Dylan is gonna be possibly running the Bastion here.
Oh, the Bastion. The swap as well. Hurricane onto the Mei, whereas Dylan was playing it earlier. Interesting swap. Maybe they just want to make sure Hurricane gets some more practice on the hero, as you know the result of the match has been determined. We're going to see both teams grappling for control of this cart now. Ghoul dropping fairly low, 20 characters as well, a bit slow to get healed up, potentially an opportunity for Oath, but they just decide to take their time, grapple around this point. The wall comes out, that's a huge wall from Toa.
Yeah, everyone just kind of all grouping up in that corner. That was some scary stuff, kind of those little scissor maneuver right there, but it looks like Outlaw's going to be getting the kind of bigger end of that blade right there with 80% to a shatter, and the fight's still not done yet. Toa does find a nice little Mei diff on a Hurricane right there, but it's still not over because Dylan finds a returning pick onto the Mei. These walls are crazy for Dylan right now, just finding an absolute shooting at fish in a barrel, but it looks like Pika Master is going to be swinging a hammer in a barrel on. In this kind of scenario, it looks like Pika Master is going to land out on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, 20 characters as well. I mean, the fish in a barrel is his line, so it makes sense that he'd get 2 kills at the end. But the Bastion swap from Dylan seems to be paying dividends, as they had a lot more damage. They were able to take a fight more aggressively, and in the mid fight get a few crucial picks that nearly swung it in their favor. Now, with ultimates coming online, both of the Earth Shatters, the High Noon from 20 characters, the Blizzard from Toa, and the Video Gamer and Noir's Amplification Matrixes, this fight I think is going to be a fair bit different from the last dry one.
Yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a countdown here for ultimates. Oh my goodness gracious, dude! You called it. That was a fantastic shatter. The follow up is there as fast as it can. A wall even to try and like really support that, but it looks like Outlaws are gonna eat that up before Oath can do anything about that right there. That is crazy stuff. We've seen you fighting 2 picks and a High Noon.
That's a High Noon. That's BM. That's either that's BM
that's
or it's a massive fat finger. That's gotta be a fat finger. But I mean, the Blizzard from Toa just again reinforcing this excellent standard of Mei play that they've held throughout the match. A perfect follow-up on a shatter where the Rhine lost his life, which in most situations you'd probably lose momentum. You'd have to back because you don't really have anything to push with. Not in this case though, and Bossman pulling out a shatter of their own. There's 2 crucial picks from Oath and a Blizzard just to seal it, but the problem is they will win this fight. But look at their ult bank. I mean, it's not a bank. It's looking like a Silicon Valley bank. They've got no money in it. It just collapsed.
Shoot. Oh my gosh. Hey, Noir is coming up 70 to a window, and you don't have any aggressive ultimates from Outlaws, really. I don't expect that they'll push in with the beat, so you do have some time to really build that up because you've also got Bastion on the kind of defense setup. You do have somewhat of an advantage here because the payload is now in your possession. Looks like 20 characters really trying to push this, some hand the hammers. Looks like the beat is actually going to come out, and as well as the wall, looks like it's going to nail down Bossman. Video Gamer finds a nice little pick on the Hurricane. Looks like Toa's going to follow up with a pick on the Dylan. It looks like the Cassie's going to find a nice little fanciful headshot onto Nora, and 3 assists for Outlaws' Lucio right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Brawl played at its finest. Outlaws, as they've been doing for most of this game, they're just playing more confident. They're just playing faster, more aggressively, and it's working out about as well as possible for them. As now, see, they've rotated over to the cart, killing any momentum, any chance of establishing momentum that Toth might have had. Though they do get 2 crucial picks. Toa and Pika Master, though, again, the stars of the show for Outlaws. Big kills and a big shatter. It's just Toa and Usimi, I believe, against Bossman and Ghoul, but Bossman goes down.
It's
Toa,
a Lucio.
It's a Lucio 1v1 on the point. This could go either way. Both of them have been stars in their own right.
My god.
Okay.
Dude.
Fair enough from us.
I was
choosing to back out rather than risk losing the ego duel.
I was gonna say sick him Ghoul. That was tense. That was sick. Now Oath have control of the cart yet again. Bossman has that shatter. 80% to Hurricane's Blizzard. You're looking at quite the nice opportunity here if you're Oath. And especially after getting all that, after like all that value you drained out of Outlaws, like you're looking to start some momentum here, I dare say. Looks like Bossman maybe even trying to find a little bit of a shatter, playing around these corners. Oh, a bit dangerously, a wall comes out. Might even need to use it. Oh, but it looks like a fantastic wall actually raises and gets out Pika Master. It looks like a Blizzard is going to have to be used to really keep this advantage. And now, fancy beat coming out.
Oh, the shatter the Heinen gets canceled.
That was some beautiful stuff. Now, no real ultimate just yet for either side. Holy smokes. Those are a little fire strike, but it looks like Dylan's gonna get shut down before he can get Blossom. Now Toa has the Blizzard as well as some picks going their way. There's so many perfect frames coming out, it's hard to even talk about them all.
I mean, yeah, Toe's May walls were on point. Those were, and especially in that fight, that was that wall to split off Bossman from the rest of his team was crucial to winning that fight, as it enabled them to isolate and pick off Bossman, which just ended up being a turning point of sorts in that fight, as I believe Oath had the pick advantage before. Now the Blizzard could be the deciding factor in this fight. The charge comes out, the Blossom from Dylan.
Ooh. That
only got 1 pick?
It did.
Toa again, perfect. The Blizzard comes up huge.
Oh man. Nor found a nice little diff onto the Baptiste. I actually really liked that Lucio play coming from Noah. Combined it with Dylan's Blossom, did eventually get stuck into the freeze, but it actually had that sustainability to where at least it could find 1 pick. But it looks like, yeah, Toa's May coming in yet again as a historically just dominant presence in this battlefield, in this lobby between these 2 teams. Now yet again, Oath are going to have to come back and try and take this payload. You got 4 minutes though, so I mean.
Yeah, Outlaws just cede control of the cart, or of the bot, to Oath, knowing that they can re-engage with the shatter, with this Heinen, with this sound barrier that they've built up. The shatter comes out, Bossman goes down, Pika Master on the verge of death, but he looks into the void and says, "I will not go yet. It is not my time." 20 characters looking like a guy in the rap video behind the guy who's rapping, backing him up with the pick, with a group pick of his own. And Outlaws now, they've got the other team in a chokehold. They've got Oath in possibly the best position they could be.
Yeah. Sorry this map isn't too up to your liking. Otherwise, I'd point out the pretty environment. But hey, a nice little Blizzard to look at and a nice little pick at the top right of the screen right there onto Bossman. The Blizzard to rebound this fight has come out, but Hurricane does find 2 fantastic picks to try and get this in their favor. And now it looks like the rest of the team is going to be indeed going the way of Oath right there. Coming out of their spawn, has that little advantage, dealing with a nice little 3k to top it all off, and only using really 1 ultimate that fight. You again and again, coming back, Oath always has this kind of advantage and kind of ult economies, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, the only ult they pulled out was the Blizzard there, and Dylan being 83% to the Deadeye, to the High Noon, relative to Outlaws only having 2 support ults, which provide them with high sustain, but not really much to engage with. The shatter from Bossman, perfect reaction from Toa, wow.
Even better, perfect charge as well. Eventually does find himself killed, but the pressure has been made. It looks like actually, wow, yeah, no, again and again and again, Outlaws just eat up any momentum and just totally go with it at their own kind of pace of the game, and it's really tripping up the kind of styles that Oath seemingly wants to exuberate with their kind of play styles. Again, Oath coming out of the spawn though with you know, some ultimates to say some words, you know, maybe even have kind of an opportunity to dismantle this presence right in front of you by the name of Nightmare Outlaws.
Yeah, they do have 3 ultimates, but again, Pika Master coming close to the shatter, he's gotten so much value out of them. Not when he's that close to dying though. The wall from Hurricane is on point. He still gets a pick. Pika Master goes down, he still takes out Bossman, though his opposite number falls. The momentum, it's all Outlaws now in this fight. Hurricane goes down, Video Gamer showing up in the kill feed, a bloodthirsty support channeling his inner Violet Overwatch, and 20 characters again taking over. This is, I mean, this is your last chance if you're Oath, and
the freeze.
It's just Dylan on cart. The dual support ults come back just in the hopes of making something out of this fight. Video Gamer goes down, but Pika Master's back with a shatter! Another final assertion of their dominance over this lobby. As Bossman swapping off of the Rhine onto the Wrecking Ball just to be able to touch is already so low, he falls, and it looks like, unless Dylan can somehow kill 5, it will be a 4-0 for the side of Nightmare Outlaws. Even seemingly dominant, in pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah,
the support's just stalling for their lives, but they can't really do anything.
What I absolutely love is that you're able to say all that, and they're still, to this day, still contesting that payload down to the wire. Even as I was starting to talk after that Dylan touched at the last second, that was some fantastic Overwatch. Would you agree?
I would. From the side of Outlaws, it was really, really good understanding of tempo. Really good ult usage from Toa and Pika Master. Simi and Video Gamer as well were very, very solid players. Very dependable for the supports, bailing Pika Master out time and time again. Is Toa a console player? Are those console controls I see?
I think that's for the it's for the observer.
That makes more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense. I was gonna say Toa the stuff he was doing would be impressive on PC. On controller, that's just outright ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know whether to take that as BM or like a compliment. But overall,
it was intended as a compliment for what it's worth.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. That skill was just prowess. It was powerful. Every single map of the DPS, you know, for Outlaws were just phenomenal. There's only only so much my even brain could even think. Oh, look, the camera went blurry at how hot that match was. Like that their DPS was just on point. Like honestly, what would you do against that in that kind of situation? Because I'm not a DPS player. I'm a support main, so that's what I kind of look at in a lot of recent
as well,
matchups. Yeah. We're both in the same boat, but what would you say?
I don't know. I think in that situation, it's more counter picking. It's more playstyle because Toa was on point with the walls.
Oh yeah.
With the Baptiste, you kind of have to save your lamp for when the Rhine gets split off with by the Mei wall, for example. But to be honest, I don't think there's no silver bullet for that kind of singular focus for the clutch plays that Outlaws were pulling out. You kind of just have to. I don't want to say they were unlucky because it was never really that close where luck was a deciding factor, but it felt like Oath just could not cope with the pace the Outlaws were setting, with the aggression that they were laying down. Toa, Pika Master, and this whole team, really very solid players in their own right, but I think it was really that team, that cohesion that was the big difference between these two.
Yeah, a way I was kind of thinking. First of all, yeah, overall this has been a very educational match. This was some fantastic stuff. I haven't casted Transcendence here in quite some time. This was a nice breeze to the brain, and I think like the kind of aggressive play that you're talking about, the cohesion. I was thinking of like relating it to chess in a way. Like you can have half your board move up, and I would call that pretty aggressive. I feel like that's what kind of Oath would do a lot of the time. They move all their pieces of the board all around. They move it all up. Fantastic stuff. I suck at chess. I would get dominated, right? But Outlaws, they played it in a way that would like they move one knight here, they move one bishop here, and that aggression already puts you in check. And that's the kind of difference how I would kind of like say that. But yeah, holy smokes, it was a 4-0. But honestly, I had fun watching it all the way. Both these teams made each fight. You know, it is a 4-0, but like each fight was still something worth fighting for, and I feel like that was the kind of heart for these kind of for these teams here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a 4-0, but it was a fun 4-0 to watch. Like it was great gameplay, and I think now that Outlaws can have gotten their first win, I'm excited to see them kick on their game, take it to another level, continue to win games, and I mean, who knows? With playing like that, anything can happen. The potential for improvement, I feel, with this team is pretty big. We saw a really good performance from them, and I think if they can continue that aggression, if they can continue to play off of Toa, off of Pika Master like they were, if their backline in particular can continue to be as solid, as consistently reliable as they were, we could see some pretty big things from Nightmare Outlaws.
Absolutely, I definitely expect this team to continue this kind of sort of win streak going on, especially from tonight. They're excellent. So every single time, like you looked at any of these players, it seemed like everybody got their chance, their time in the kill feed. So definitely some future ahead. And for Oath, hey, I'm gonna be dude. These games were fantastic, dude. If I want to get any chance near climbing out a plat, climbing out a diamond, I'm gonna be watching these games. So overall, is there anything? Did you have an MVP or anything, or?
I mean, all of Outlaws is really good, but I've been gassing Toa this whole game.
Toa.
But to be honest, I think it might have to be Pika Master, just because of how like clutch some of those shatter timings were. Like right before Pika Master died, he'd hit a 3-man shatter. It would get massive value, and it would win them. It would be the deciding factor in fights. And even when Pika Master was dying, like even when he was getting caught out, he was getting massive value. That was what I felt ended up being a big part of the difference between these two teams, a big part of what enabled Outlaws to play so aggressively and so consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely see you there. My MVP, I mean, shoot, now I'm like, well, shoot, they are really all just freaking amazing. I guess I just want to like shout out their supports, because I feel like that was like some nice stuff. You can't really have a team play that aggressive or anything like that, get as many picks, if you don't have the kind of support really kind of helping everybody there in like the different sort of ways. Like I'm a Mercy mate, but like my brother plays Lucy a lot, so it's like Mercy Lucy a lot, and seeing the kind of effects that a speed boost can have or something, like just in like so many different kind of ways. You're like the kind of backing out, going back in, going around a corner, that fluidity. I think just seeing that kind of stuff on the battlefield, it's really fun for even the enemy team as well, because then you get so many different opportunities to really like show your team's reflexiveness, show your team's superiority and taking advantages. I just think it promotes some fun kind of play for both sides. So that's what I'm going to say as a GG to both these teams.
Yeah, I definitely agree that the support lines in Overwatch 2, I don't think get enough appreciation, especially for how good Video Gamer and Usimi were. Being able to live, being able to get value. Video Gamer's Immortality Field timings in particular were on point. But at this point, I mean, the game's over. There's only so much you can say, really.
No. Well, with that, I mean, we're gonna wish everyone a freaking happy good night. This has been an awesome time. Yeah, this was one of those games that kind of leaves you a little bit speechless. So have a fantastic night, Wistfall. Hope you like Tranquility. That was a pretty fun time casting with you.
It was pretty fun. I've been in and around the space for a while,
Nice.
But this is the first cast I've actually done. So yeah, here's hoping there's many more.
Hell yeah! Have a good night.
You too.